Sarah thought she had found the love of her life, until the day she woke up with a start, heart racing, realizing she was afraid to go home, afraid of the man who claimed to love her. If you feel a knot in your stomach watching this video, if something resonates deep inside you, stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could literally save your life. Introduction. Every day, millions of people live in toxic relationships without even realizing it. They think it's normal, that this is love. But love doesn't hurt. Love doesn't make you doubt your own reality. Today, I'm going to show you the 7 undeniable signs, the warning signals your brain is desperately trying to send you, but that you may have been ignoring for months or even years. And most importantly, I'll show you how to break free. How to take back control of your life. Because you deserve better. You deserve to be happy. So if you're ready to hear the truth, even if it hurts, stay with me. Because what's coming will change everything. Part 1. Control disguised as love. The first sign of a toxic relationship is control, but be careful. It's not the obvious kind of control you see in movies. No, toxic control is sneaky. It disguises itself as love. Mark started by telling Emma he loved her so much he couldn't stand her going out with her friends. "I miss you too much," he'd say. "I need you close to me." At first, Emma found it romantic, until she realized she hadn't seen her friends in 6 months. Toxic control always starts small. Your partner asks who you saw, where you went, why you're home so late, checks your phone, just out of curiosity, criticizes you for wearing certain clothes. You're too beautiful. Other men will look at you. Then gradually the walls close in. You start censoring yourself, avoiding certain topics, changing the way you dress. Without even realizing it, you become a watered-down version of yourself. Listen closely. A partner who loves you doesn't seek to control you. They celebrate your independence. They encourage you to see your friends, to pursue your passions. Love sets you free. It doesn't imprison you. If you have to ask permission to go out, if you hide things to avoid fights, if you feel suffocated, you're already caught in the net of toxic control. And this is only the beginning. Because the second sign is even more insidious. Part 2. Emotional manipulation and emotional blackmail. The second sign is emotional manipulation. And trust me, it's a devastating weapon in the hands of a manipulator. Julie knew the pattern by heart. Every time she disagreed, Thomas would start crying. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't do this to me," he'd say. "I feel so bad, I want to die." And Julie, heartbroken, would always give in. Emotional manipulation is using your feelings against you, turning your empathy into chains. The manipulator knows exactly which buttons to push to make you feel guilty, to make you doubt yourself. The killer phrases: "After everything I've done for you," "If you leave, I won't survive," "You're the only person who understands me," "Without you, I'm nothing." These words may sound romantic, but in reality, they are tools of control. They put you in a position where you feel responsible for your partner's happiness, or even their survival. Emotional blackmail takes 1,000 forms. Calculated crying fits, threats of suicide, explosive anger followed by begging, silent punishments that last for days. But here's what you need to understand. You are not responsible for your partner's emotions. You are not their therapist. You do not have to sacrifice yourself for their well-being. A healthy relationship is 2 people each taking responsibility for their own feelings, communicating without blackmail, arguing without threatening to leave or to hurt themselves. If you're walking on eggshells in your own relationship, if you're afraid to trigger a crisis, if you feel responsible for your partner's happiness at the cost of your own, you're being emotionally manipulated. And sadly, that brings us to the third sign, perhaps the most destructive of all. Part 3. Social isolation and dependence. The third sign is social isolation, and it's probably one of the manipulator's most effective tactics. Think about it. What protects you best from a toxic relationship? Your friends, your family, the people who know you, who love you, who can say, "Hey, what you're going through isn't normal." That's exactly why the manipulator will do everything to cut you off from your social circle. And they'll do it with diabolical cunning. Leah's story is telling. At first, Maxime loved her friends. He was charming, funny, irresistible. Then, little by little, he started sowing doubt. "Did you see how Claire looked at you? She's jealous. Paul barely says hi. He doesn't like me. Your parents, they don't understand our relationship." Gradually, Leah started seeing her loved ones differently. She went out less, avoided family gatherings, until she found herself completely alone with Maxime, exactly what he wanted. Isolation always follows the same pattern. First, your partner subtly criticizes your loved ones, always finds something wrong, then creates conflicts, awkward situations, embarrasses you in front of your friends, refuses to go to family events. Then comes the seductive alternative. It's just us that matters. We don't need anyone else. They make you believe your relationship is so special, so unique, that others couldn't possibly understand. Meanwhile, you become more and more dependent. Emotionally, financially, socially. You lose confidence in yourself. You forget who you were before the relationship. It's the perfect trap. The more isolated you are, the harder it is to leave. The more dependent you are, the more you fear being alone. But here's the truth. Isolation is never a sign of love. A partner who loves you wants you surrounded by people who love you too. They encourage your friendships, respect your family, even if they don't get along with everyone. If you've lost touch with your friends, if you avoid your family, if you don't dare express your opinions for fear of causing conflict, you're losing yourself in a toxic relationship. And that brings us to the fourth sign, the one that does the most long-term damage. Part 4. Psychological abuse and the destruction of self-esteem. The fourth sign is psychological abuse, and contrary to what many think, it often does more damage than physical violence. Words kill. Repeated humiliation destroys. And the worst part is that psychological scars are invisible. No one sees them. Even you start to believe it's normal. Camille was a brilliant woman, a lawyer, independent, until she met David. At first, he showered her with compliments. "You're exceptional," he'd say. "I've never met anyone like you." Camille felt unique, precious. Then gradually, the compliments turned into criticisms. "You're too sensitive. You always exaggerate. You don't understand anything. You're crazy. Nobody would ever want you." The words, repeated day after day, eventually sank into Camille's mind. She started doubting her own perceptions, questioning her decisions, believing she really was the problem. Psychological abuse takes many forms. Direct insults, of course, but also sharp remarks disguised as jokes, constant criticism of your looks, your intelligence, your abilities, comparisons to other women or men. There's also gaslighting, this technique of making you doubt your own reality. "You never said that. You're making things up. You're paranoid. It's all in your head." The manipulator makes you believe you're crazy, that you can't trust your own memory or perceptions. It's a form of psychological torture. Then come the cycles. The moments when your partner becomes charming again, attentive, loving. "I'm sorry, I'm just stressed right now. You know I love you more than anything. I'll change, I promise." These reconciliations are even more destructive than the fights because they give you hope. They make you believe that the real person you fell in love with is still there. But here's the brutal truth. Someone who loves you doesn't destroy you. Someone who loves you doesn't make you doubt your own worth. Someone who loves you doesn't treat you like an object that can be broken and fixed at will. If you find yourself constantly apologizing, if you feel like you've become a shadow of yourself, if you no longer recognize the person you were before this relationship, you're a victim of psychological abuse. And unfortunately, that leads us to the last 3 signs, which indicate that the situation is critical. Part 5, the final alarming sign. The 5th, 6th, and 7th signs are the most dangerous. They indicate you're in an extremely high-risk zone. The 5th sign is escalation into physical violence. It often starts with accidents, a push that was unintentional, an object thrown that just misses you, a hand raised, then lowered. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You provoked me." Listen carefully. Physical violence never happens out of the blue. It's always preceded by escalation. The yelling, the threats, the broken objects. Then the accidental physical contact. And finally the hits. Never tell yourself, "He would never hit me." If your partner makes you physically afraid, if you fear their reactions, if you've ever received deserved blows, you are in danger. The 6th sign is constant surveillance. Your partner knows your passwords, checks your phone, your computer, your social media, follows you, spies on you, stalks you, knows your every move. This surveillance may seem flattering at first. "He's so interested in me," you think, but it's actually a form of extreme control. You have no privacy, no freedom, no personal space. The 7th and final sign is when you start to feel fear. Fear of going home, fear of telling the truth, fear of leaving. fear of staying. When fear becomes your daily companion, when you adjust your behavior to avoid episodes, when you're walking on eggshells in your own life, you're no longer in a loving relationship. You're in a prison. Sarah, who I mentioned at the beginning, went through all of this. It took her years to understand she was a victim, even longer to find the strength to leave. But she did it. And today she helps other women get out. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, if this video echoes your life, know that you are not alone. And above all, know that there are solutions. Conclusion. Getting out of a toxic relationship is possible. Difficult, painful, but possible. And it starts with recognition. Recognizing that what you're living is not normal, that you deserve better. The first step is to reconnect with your loved ones, even if it's hard, even if you're ashamed. Your true friends, your family, they're waiting. They're just waiting for a chance to help you. The second step is to seek professional help. A psychologist, a social worker, a specialized organization. You don't have to go through this alone. The third step is to plan your exit. Safely. With help. Without rushing, but with determination. And above all, remember, you are not responsible for your partner's behavior. You are not responsible for their anger, their jealousy, their violence. You do not have to sacrifice yourself for their well-being. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be loved for who you are. You deserve to be free. If this video helped you, share it. Maybe it will help someone close to you. Maybe it will save a life. And never forget, after the storm, there is always calm. After prison, there is freedom. After toxicity, there is true love. You have the right to be happy. You have the right to be free. You have the right to be yourself. Never give up. Moments to extract for shorts. Love doesn't control you, it celebrates your independence. You are not responsible for your partner's emotions or happiness. Isolation is never a sign of love. Someone who loves you wants you surrounded by people who love you too. Words kill, repeated humiliation destroys, and psychological scars are invisible. Someone who loves you doesn't make you doubt your own worth. Physical violence never happens. Suddenly, it's always preceded by escalation. When fear becomes your daily companion, you are no longer in a loving relationship. You are in a prison. You deserve to be respected, loved for who you are, and free. You are not responsible for your partner's anger, jealousy, or violence. After the storm, there is always calm after prison. There is freedom after toxicity. There is true love. Welcome to Mind Gym.